Looks like the technology's going, so it's my privilege to introduce the next panel on a topic that is near and dear to our hearts and to this entire region about addressing skilled worker shortages. Roxanne from Minnesota West Community and Technical College, Abigail Wilking, Training and Development Manager from JBS, and Dawn Rainier from Minnesota West, the Dean of Customized Training. I'll let them introduce themselves, but they're going to talk about something very, very important to the economy of this region and to companies. I'm especially interested in hearing the work that you're going to talk about with Move LLC. That's actually an initiative that we're supporting at the foundation, in addition to some other things. So please help me welcome our three speakers.
Can you hear me okay? I would prefer to not be mic'd. So as long as you guys can hear, we should be good.
Welcome this afternoon. Thank you for having us here. We're very pleased to present some of the initiatives that we've been working on throughout our service region for you this afternoon. My name is Dawn Rainier. I'm the Director of Customized Training and Continuing Education at Minnesota West Community Technical College. With me today is
I'm Roxanne, and I'm and now I work at Minnesota West Community College. I'm in the customized and lots of industry partners here. Basically, my territory is kind of the I-94 corridor.
I'm Abigail. I am the Training and Development Manager at JBS. I've been with JBS for almost 6 years, and this is the second department I've been in. I'm a licensed athletic trainer, so I started out in occupational health, and I still spend some of my time over in occupational health as well as assisting with HR and safety and doing training and development and additional outreach programs to benefit the community as well as our industry.
So here, our theme for today is addressing the workforce skills shortage. So that is really what brought us together as a partnership, and that partnership is what we're here to visit with you about this afternoon. The end result of our partnership is our relatively new industrial technology degree at Minnesota West Community Technical College. All the way along today, this is the theme. This was the program that brought our industry partners together with our college. And these are the speakers that you see. So we led off the initiative because our industry partner, JBS, had a need for skilled machine maintenance in their maintenance department. And they had a lack of the ability to access that just anywhere. And so they came to the college and started the partnership. So Abby, do you want to talk about JBS?
So JBS is the largest animal protein producing company worldwide. We are a pork facility here in Worthington, but we encompass poultry, beef, lamb, and pork globally. We're a Brazilian-owned company, and our facility here in Worthington, we employ around 2,200 employees. It's a very, very diverse group. We've got 23 different cultures and 54 different languages spoken within our facility. So it's kind of a festival of nations every day at work. So we've also got this huge need for expansion. I mean, people need to eat, right? The process needs to move faster. You always want to do more and build on that. And with that, we need to expand and we need to adopt and adapt to our technologies to be more competitive in the industry. So that allows for more automation, which requires more people. So that's where we needed this partnership to come up with employees that are skilled and qualified and able to do the work that we need that's in high demand.
So JBS came to Minnesota West and said, what can we do? We have this need. Other employers in our service area have this need. What can we do with the college? Just a little bit of information about Minnesota West Community and Technical College. We are one of the colleges, two-year community technical colleges that are a part of the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities system. So we're a sister Central, as you heard represented here before, and St. Cloud Technical College, which is going to be here, and our centers of excellence that are represented here this afternoon. And after a little bit, you'll have a chance to hear from them as well. So as part of that network, Minnesota West really services the southwest corner of the state. As a college, we are a multi-campus college. We have 5 campus locations. On the slide here, you can see Worthington is our liberal arts campus. It's our flagship college located here. It's probably our largest student population in one location. It houses the liberal arts program. The ag program is based out of Worthington here. It's home now to our new industrial technology program. The nursing program that we have stems from our Worthington location. Our athletic department also stems from here. Our athletic programs are located here as well. We have college campuses located then in Jackson, Pipestone, and in our northern areas, Canby and Granite Falls. Those are our 5 campus locations. Each of the campus locations, at each of the colleges, campus locations, students can take the liberal arts education. We do quite a bit with distance education and online learning, so that we try to bridge that gap from a geography standpoint. So if a student in Granite Falls needs to take a biology class, they can do so online or via ITV to make it convenient for the student. So each of the campuses kind of has their own technical skills. Granite Falls is home to our fluid power program. Our computer science and our renewable energy stems from our Granite Falls campus, as well as our business and accounting program. Canby is home to our electrical program, our diesel mechanics program, and our dental assistant training program, in addition to our wind energy program. Pipestone is home to our allied health, so everything outside of nursing kind of stems from there. In addition to our construction trades program, we also have some partnerships in Pipestone with our local high schools for welding, and some carpentry classes take place there. In Jackson is probably the most known for our electrical power line program, our electrical power transmission program and those students. Jackson also has cosmetology, and new this year is our welding program at Jackson. We have a welding diploma program, which was another partnership with an industry partner to bring that to fruition. In addition to our campus locations, we have learning centers. We have a learning center in Laverne, which is a partnership that we have with the city of Laverne and the Sanford Health Care facility there. Our center is located in the former Sanford Hospital location. Out of that center, we offer our radiology tech, our surgical tech, and our medical lab technician program. They actually have their classes right in the regular hospital facilities that the Sanford Center left there for us to use. So it's really a good opportunity for those students. And then our Marshall site is a partnership that we have with the city of Marshall in the Merit Center, which is Minnesota Emergency Response and Industrial Training Center. Our customized training and continuing education division is headquartered out of that location. So that's kind of Minnesota West in a nutshell.
So I touched on it a little bit. The needs for a partnership with Minnesota West started with the expansion that we want to do. We have plans to expand out a little bit farther. Shortages of skilled workers. And it's not just JBS. I think if you contact anybody that's looking for anybody in that skilled mechanics and maintenance division, it's very, very hard. And it's not just our Worthington facility. I mean, it extends through JBS to our Marshalltown plant, our Louisville plant, and that they're having a hard time finding skilled workers for that as well. And a lot of our mechanics right now have got 20 to 30 years of service in. So we're anticipating a lot of turnover in the next 5 to 10 years. So it's very important for us to make sure is going to bring everything together. We're going to have a standard, and we'll be able to grow our own and populate our payments department and make it the best payments department that we can. So our need then stemmed into a conversation of what can you do, how can we help each other, and how can we create an awareness in our community that there is a need for this. College is important. I think it's important for all students. A traditional four-year degree is not right for everybody. So there's a lot of people who are going to benefit from having a one-year program and be able to go straight to work and apply what they've learned right away. How many people still use their degree? I mean, it's this culture that is changing. The majority of people that have a degree aren't using it anymore. So we thought we'd reach out and try and get people who are good at working with their hands that want to go to college but don't want a traditional setting or full four-year degree and provide an opportunity for them.
And get this resource.
We did. We thought that with starting this program, what a better way to kick it off than to say we're going to provide scholarships. So JBS provides 5 scholarships to students for this industrial technology program. We have our second class that's in right now. And more than just giving money to go to school, we're having a contract that says when you're done with the program, you're committed to work with us. So we can offer a partial scholarship or a full scholarship and have 2 years contracted work for a partial, 4 years contracted work for a full scholarship. And the majority of people going to school need to work. So why not allow them to work in our maintenance department kind of as an internship while we're offering them that scholarship, so they're using exactly what they're learning in class in that real life setting and where their career is going to take them forward.
Oh, and then building off of what Abby said about them using it right away, I think the conversation that we had with Jeff Beisman, who's the head engineer on the plant, he said that this has actually cut his training time by 2 years, I think, because they're so prepared to just jump in and do what is required on the job.
Yep, so our students that are coming in after this program are 2 years ahead of the average person coming out of the street to do the job. So their training, their skills, which also directly translates into the amount that they're being paid, because they're paid based off of their skill level. So they're coming in, you have 2 people coming at the exact same rate. Somebody who went through the college is going to be 2 years ahead in the pay scale, as well as the knowledge scale, than the average person coming in.
So, Minnesota West is all about partnerships and creating those win-win, and in this case, a triple win partnership, so that all involved have a very positive outcome. And we continue to work towards that, building our workforce and our skilled workforce within our service area. So when JBS came to us and said, can you start a new maintenance degree? We need people. We said, well, all right, let's see what we can do. So oftentimes, a lot of times you hear here at the Bio conference about startup companies, we've heard about capital ventures, angel investors. So typically in higher education, we don't have a lot of those in terms of how we get startup capital. So our seed capital, our startup capital, often takes the form of grants and seeking out grants to help foster that development of new programs and help foster the launch of those programs. So that's exactly what we did. Minnesota West then partnered with the Minnesota Job Skills Partnership Grant Training Program. And we have D representatives here this afternoon. For those of you who maybe aren't familiar with that program, the Job Skills Partnership Program is a funding opportunity. They exist here in the state of Minnesota to provide resources for employee training, both new employees and incumbent employees. The training they like to support is partnering with a higher education institution, in this case Minnesota West, and an employer partner, JBS. So they'll provide the money to help us provide the training. In addition to providing the direct training, they have resources for curriculum development. So we submitted an application to the Job Skills Partnership Program, and that's where we got our seed money to get our industrial technology degree started. So we designed the curriculum in partnership with JBS, using those resources, and helped provide the training as we were going along for incumbent workers at JBS, as well as new folks that we had coming into the degree program. So that's one of our resources.
It's been really nice having the partnership and the opportunity for the grant is we're able to send our existing mechanics to the classes with the students that are in that degree program, so they can continue their education, and that's covered through the grant as well. So we're able to enrich our current mechanics who maybe didn't have school and all their training was on the job, and it creates a very cohesive working unit. So those students that are part of the scholarship program are meeting some of the mechanics that they're going to be working with, and they understand how to work together from an education side. They get to learn from each other, teach each other. And then as they're now working together, employed together, the students are, teaching some of our existing guys, where they'll say, hey, do you remember when we did this in class? Or can you go over this a little bit more? So we're having a lot more conversations in generational gaps of people as well, which is just making their team a much stronger team functioning in our business.
Again, more of a win-win that we didn't expect. We didn't train it, but it's happening because of the project. In addition, Minnesota West had the opportunity to partner and actually acquire additional resources from the Department of Labor federal TAG grant that was awarded to the state of Minnesota. It's a $15 million grant. South Central College, who we heard from a little earlier this afternoon, they are the lead institution for this grant. So they're the lead institution and the fiscal agent. In addition to South Central College, there's 12 other community technical colleges that are partnering with this, in addition to 2 of our centers of excellence, the manufacturing centers of excellence for the Minsky system. They're also partners with this TAG grant. This TAG grant is termed the Minnesota Advancing Manufacturing Partnership Project. Again, another partnership opportunity in the state that we're bringing the resources out here to our region. The focus of this is to create an awareness that really there are good manufacturing jobs, there are excellent manufacturing jobs, and awesome career opportunities in the manufacturing arena. So we showcase this with high school students, those folks who might be unemployed, folks that are in underrepresented categories like disabilities, folks that are veterans, folks that are minorities. They may be looking for a good career opportunity and never thought to explore manufacturing. The focus of this particular grant is concentrated on 3 primary high-demand, high-wage, high technical skill shortages arenas. And those are precision machining, welding, and they term it mechatronics, which is really machine maintenance, which is our industrial technology program. So those 3 things, those 3 focus areas are the topics for this grant. You see across the bottom, the logos for Minnesota West and for JBS. The middle one is Learn, Work, Earn. That's our federal tax grant, our Minnesota Advancing Manufacturing Project. That's that logo. And what Abby listed about before is students are going to college, but they need a job, they need an internship, they need to make a little money while they're going to school. Even though they have maybe their tuition and their college stuff paid for, they still need to make some money. And so the Learn, Work, Earn is really that. The idea is to send them to school, train them, give them an opportunity to apply what they're learning in class to a work setting, and give them an opportunity to earn compensation while they're going to school, and set them up to have a good earning capacity on a career path for a lifelong career. Really, that's the theme, and that's what the learn, work, earn symbol stands for and represents. In addition to this project, Minnesota West carries this initiative that we have with JVS and some of our other industry partners, and we have been successful at capturing other resources to fund other initiatives as well. Roxanne?
And so on the top of that list, you see the fast track training dollars. And so those are really targeted toward people who are underemployed, possibly underrepresented, maybe just want to make a career change. And currently we're training in the areas of manufacturing and healthcare. Those dollars can be used to fund other things. Basically, it's kind of a legislative mandate on people who are feeding back to the legislature, telling us where there are shortages. So it's basically feedback from the employer saying, hey, we have a big need, we need training, we need people now. That's what those fast track dollars are. We partner with ABE, we partner, which is Adult Basic Ed, so that we do a little prep time before we do the classes, so that once they're coming into the actual curriculum training classes, they have a little bit of a background. Maybe their English skills aren't necessarily perfect, and maybe they don't really they don't have the vocabulary necessary to be successful in a certain environment, and so that we call it a bridge. They really focus on terminology and language that they need to be successful when taking the coursework. And then even as we deliver the course, that we have the ABE instructor that kind of follows alongside as a mentor and a supporter, so that they have a built-in advocate for the student. We also, actually, through a conversation that I had here at the BioScience conference a couple years ago, we were able to capture some funds from AT&T, and they sponsored a coding class, not a medical coding class, but a computer coding class. The first presenter talked a lot about technology and how the millennials maybe only want to capture a class here or there. All those classes and those web pages have to be designed, and there's a lot of things besides the pretty stuff that you see that's behind the scenes. I think the prediction is that by 2018, there will be 1.2 million more jobs in computer science than there will be people to fill them. So I'm really pushing my oldest son to do that. But we were lucky enough to capture funds to train 25 students. We even had a student participate from Michigan. So we had South Dakota, Iowa, Minnesota. I think there was some from Wisconsin. And those were actually, we're talking about how do we capture those high school students. Those students were basically 9th through 12th grade. We actually had a few younger students that participated, and I think the youngest student was actually a 6th grader. And the coding actually was pretty easy for him, much easier than it was for me. And then we also, this year, took that as a model, and there are Blandon dollars. We're talking about, how are we going to be connected as a rural community if we don't have the broadband to support that connection? And so those Blandon dollars really help to support those kinds of things. Well, we also want our students, again, this was more of a student-based class, to be knowledgeable about what is digital literacy. They know how to use the technology, but what is actually valid information that you can find on the internet? And just because it's out there doesn't mean that it's actually true. How do you do some research? How do you find out what sources are valued? What do you leave as your digital print? Your imprint. What is your social media footprint look like? I think that's really important for the kids that are coming up. And then the college also, this year we meaning customized training, made a proposal to, again, how we capture those 9th through 12th grade students. And we are putting some strategic initiative funds into capturing some of those ninth grade students to do maintenance awareness and safety awareness class, and be aware of the CPCSC. I should have written out what that is, but that is a certified production technician, which is a industry recognized credential. So talking about not necessarily needing that 4-year degree, but yet the employer wants to know that you have those skills. And so being able to come to an employer with a transferable credential that says, hey, I've demonstrated that I have the knowledge and the skills to do this kind of a job.
So as you see, the college as a whole, we're very aggressive at getting outside resources. And just as a reminder, the Strategic Initiative Investment Fund, those are actually Minnesota West College dollars. Those aren't grant-funded dollars. Those are dollars that the college decided to award. Some of you in here are part of our Presidential Advisory Committee. Greg is our chairperson for that committee, and there's some other members that are here today as well. That group really pushed us as a college to say, invest and grow. Invest and grow in your programs. So initiative investment funds, those are college dollars that were dedicated to, again, creating awareness and targeting some resources at high school and youth so that they really get a chance to experience what some of these career opportunities may look like and may be. And in fairness, our high schools and our public school systems, their resources are tight as well. So some of their programs have maybe gone by the wayside in industrial science and in some of their shop classes. And so really, they don't really know how to do these things. They don't know how to run a wrench, and they don't know how to nail a hammer. They don't know how to change oil, because if they don't have to do it at home, they're not really learning it maybe in the schools anymore. So these programs are a way to help increase that awareness and really build that pipeline coming into the program. So that's where those dollars came from. When we jump back to the industrial technology program, then just like starting anything else, we have to do a little research. So we did that and checked on what other programs were offering to make sure that we were consistent and to make sure that we met the needs of our industry partners and our employers. We conducted focus groups, we conducted interviews, we prepared the curriculum. Do you want this? How do you want that? We went back and forth quite a bit to make sure that we launched the curriculum and we launched the program with training, technical skills that were going to be necessary for all of our employers to get around. And so that's what we did. We initiated the new degree, and we prepared that degree program as we are preparing some of our other new degree programs in really a career pathway model. We talk about the target audience. Everybody thinks the target audience is always our high school students. But as you heard in the prior presentation, that isn't necessarily our high school, or our high school students is not necessarily our primary audience coming back into some of these technical skills programs. So how we designed this program, and with a lot of direction from JBS, is that people need to be able to come in and come out. So we set it up so that they will get a certificate, which is not just a certificate of completion. It's a 26 credits, so they can complete the first batch of classes and receive a certificate. Within that certificate program, as well as within the diploma program, there's industry credentials that have been embedded into that program, so that there's tangible results for those folks, that they can go anywhere with it. We wanted to go to JBS meetings, and then selfishly we wanted to go to other employers in our region, instead of having other industries come in and steal them from us. But really that's how we tried to develop this model. So the certificate builds into the diploma ultimately leads to an AAS degree with the addition of the general education. Multiple entry points, option to exit and come back. So a career pathway model is how we set this up. We received approval just like any other new program. We have to get system office approval. We were able to secure that in July of 2014. Behind the scenes, while we were waiting for approval, before it was approved, we couldn't be going out and marketing publicly and doing our formal recruitment opportunities and efforts. But we were doing that a little bit behind the scenes because we were very confident it was going to be approved. It was just a matter of time. So we partnered with JBS on some of the recruitment efforts. And we talked about the scholarships. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about that.
So our scholarship program, initially we thought our target audience was going to be high school. So we thought we're going to need to get out and start talking to the students. It's more than just saying, hey, I want a scholarship, and I sign up. We've got a kind of an elaborate process that goes into it, and I'm the contact person for that. So hey, I'm interested, I hear you have a scholarship. We have an application form they have to fill out. We want 2 letters of reference. We want their high school transcript. And once they turn that in, we have them take a mechanical aptitude test. So they have to score a certain level to prove that they've got some of the basic knowledge or aptitude to be mechanically inclined to be successful in this program. So we've got a range set up by our department. If we hire an apprentice from inside, they have to pass that test at 70% or better. We were able to lower our standard from the scholarship standpoint of it, knowing that they're going to get the education they need to be beyond that 70% when they're done with that program. So depending on how they do on that mechanical aptitude test, we can set forward and say, we want to interview you. And that interview involves myself, HR, our engineering department, and maintenance, because they need to get a feel for that person and say, are you going to fit with our team? Do we think you can handle it, type of thing. They'll get a tour of our facility so they understand really what they're getting into and how everything works together. And then we have that opportunity to select the best candidate for that. So our first year, we really thought we need to search outside. We need to get new people in and have them come together. And we were very successful with that in our first year. We're now in our second year and found that our results were better pushed internally because we have a lot of people with 2,200 employees. There are a lot of people that want to advance and may have degrees and skills from their countries that don't translate here. And our class this time is primarily for people who are either current employees or family members of our employees.
So our first class of students, we started them in August of 2014. So we got the official approval in July. Class started in August. So
it was a real fast turnaround. We worked real hard.
JBS, we had 7 students in our first class, and we were just thrilled to death over that. It was an awesome first pilot group. It worked out very well. In the community of Worthington, the Minnesota West purchased the old fire hall and converted it into a technical center here in the Worthington area with support from the college, support from the community, and support from our industry partners. We included a welding area. We had some industrial technology, hydraulic trainers, and some electromechanical trainers that we were able to bring in. And we shared that space with an auto tech program that was targeted at the Worthington High School students. So that's our technical center here in the Worthington area. We had 7 students in the program. JBS
We provided scholarships for 5 students. And the interesting side is the other 2 students in that program were JBS employees that did make the cut for the scholarship, but decided they wanted to continue, they wanted to go with that, and they wanted to keep working at JBS throughout that program. So these are highly motivated, they were highly motivated people, knowing that I can't quit my job, I have to keep working. Yes, I'm going to work in the laundry room on 3rd shift so that I can go to school and get my degree. And they were an awesome group. The 5 students that were part of that scholarship program are still excelling. They're really good advocates for the program. And we ended up hiring the other 2 students into our maintenance program and department as soon as they were done. So they finished the program and said, well, what are you doing for work? Do you have any plans? And someone said, I'm still working at JBS, may I be part of your maintenance department? And the other one was not, or there was one who was not part of the program who now is in our 2nd class. So it's been really a great opportunity. We have 7 qualified mechanics that we've gained from this program. And now we have 4 that are enrolled in the scholarship program for this year.
And Abby, you want to just share that all of them did the diploma
They completed the diploma program, they're still working. We have a couple of them that are going to get their degree. They're like, I had a couple classes left, I'd really like to finish out, knowing that I can balance work and school. So the 7, I mean, they're doing awesome. They're leaders in the departments. They get along really well with everyone that's there. And honestly, our engineers can't say enough about these students. They were the right students to do that pilot program. They were great advocates for other students who are now applying. And I'm now currently taking an application for our next round to start this August. So it's kind of this revolving door of word of mouth and how the job is good, the school is good. It's been a huge benefit for us.
In addition, JBS provided the students as they were going to school, they provided them with an internship opportunity. But although the tuition was paid, they were looking for some work. Not all of the students were working at JBS. And instead of having them go in and get customer service jobs or retail jobs, JBS said, we'll do an internship.
Right, we'll do an internship, so it's paid. So this is offered only to the students that are on the scholarship program, because we have a little more invested interest in their ability to excel through this. So the first month, they're just going to school. We want them to figure out how to balance the intensity of the program that we're putting them through. And then that second month in, say you can come in and work. It's not required for you to work 8 hours, and it's going to be the opposite shift of which your classes are. So for this group this year, they're attending classes in the morning, so they're coming in working third shift class. And they don't have to stay 8 hours. School is number 1. That is our focus for them. We're paying for you to go to school. We're paying you to come to work and use everything together. But the emphasis from us on the business side of it right now is the school. This internship and paid opportunity is to assist with that. And it's been a very successful model for us.
And it's an innovative solution that we're using and we're promoting for other employers as well to adopt.
So we said everybody's been hired when they came through that scholarship program, and touched on it a little bit before. While they're in that internship phase of it, they're at that base maintenance salary. When they're done, their skills are evaluated. And we tell them, it's not every year that you're going to get a raise. It's how much you put into it and how much you're showing us that you've learned and adapted your skills. So a lot of them are starting, they're done in that program, they're 2 years ahead of where somebody else was, and they can just keep climbing as far as they want to go with the skills that they have. So it's a really good opportunity for them to know that they're not going to be making just the bare minimum, and that it truly is their skill and their merit to take them how far they want to go. Our second class is going really well. We had somebody that was just a student in the class self-pay contact me and said, is there any way I can get involved with your program? And we had some students who weren't making the cut and had lost their scholarship, which then opened up the space for this other person to come in. So now this person who was working in a different company, different job, was already taking the classes. We're able to say, from this point forward, we will pay for your schooling for this. So we cut them down to like a 3/4 scholarship. So then we're saying a 3-year commitment, and was able to walk in and start working right away, has gotten that teamwork with the group of guys that are already in that program. And so we have the flexibility to keep building and growing and making the program better.
And that is exactly our model. So it's a true triple win partnership. It's a win for the college in that we're helping grow our enrollment and grow the program. It's a win for the employer in that they're capturing and growing their own workforce in their specialized skilled trade area. And it's a win for the student. They're learning, and they have a chance to go to work. This model, we're using this model and we're fostering other relationships. Roxanne, do you want to say about that?
So, not only in the manufacturing avenue are we finding the students and seeing the need, but also in the career pathways, credentialing for healthcare training. So we have a universal healthcare worker, which allows the CNA training, TMA training, they get some first aid and CPR, they get Safe, and they earn 6 college credits. So when they come out of that program, they have 6 college credits. And that can take them either into the radiology tech, they can do surgical tech, they can do as a lab assistant, they can do nursing. They have lots of different options open to them. So that was kind of when I started at the college 5 years ago. This was kind of when that process was just getting going. And that's where we bring in the adult basic ed, we bring in the Southwest Private Industry Council. We work with DEED, and we have all worked together. We find our strengths, and we capture these people that are underemployed or maybe not employed, students that have language barriers. We also do this in some of the high schools. We also broadened this out. We talked about developing a curriculum for the industrial technology. This last year, I had someone from the Knowles County office call me, and they had a grant, a multi-county grant to train community health workers. And this community health worker actually goes out and is a liaison between different healthcare systems and different populations that may have some cultural issues, or not issues, but don't understand really how the medical system works. So they're a liaison, they're an advocate for those people, but also making sure that they're getting possibly diabetes education. It's basically education funding. So I was able to partner with Northwest Technical College, which is also one of the industry colleges of Bemidji. They have the program on their curriculum. We sent these students through with those grant dollars, and those students will all be graduating now in May. And we went through the same process and got that curriculum approved, and so now Minnesota West is able to deliver that. And the interesting thing is that I have other partners calling me saying we have funding to pay for this, for these community health workers. Can we partner with you? And so we're exploring what exactly that partnership is going to look like. But it's all based on this fast track model, finding industry partners, whether they're in a government setting or a school setting. It's everybody working together to their strength. We also branched out of that universal healthcare worker and offered a community interpreter class. There's great need for that in the schools in the Worthington School District. There are 72 different dialects that are spoken. And you can imagine how hard it is to connect with some of these parents that do not have English as their first language. And so that was one of the things the school district had really said, we need help with identifying who is going to be interpreters. And so they go through some of that basic. They actually share a medical terminology class with some of the students that are doing universal healthcare worker. And the reason they do that medical terminology class is, again, that career pathway. Because if they wanted to get their 2-year degree, we also partner with Century College, which offers the interpreter 2-year degree. And one of their requirements is that medical terminology class. So with the grant funding, we're able to pay students all the way with that 2 credit college credit this year. And that class has again been evolving. And so the last time we offered it, we actually did, I was talking about those bridge classes. The ABE instructor had sat through, I think, 3 sessions of medical terminology. And so she had partnered with the instructor, and she took some of those things and really focused on those different terms, because really medical terminology is a language unto itself. So imagine if English isn't your first language, you're trying to learn medical terminology, you don't even understand all of the English terms to begin with. But it's a building block. And so the bridge instructor really worked with the students to understand how those building blocks go together. So they did 8 weeks of the bridge, and then we actually projected, they did all of the homework assignments in that bridge, and then when they came to the class, they really were just focused with the instructor on, here's my questions about this, and explain what we were out of 17 students, we had 15 that completed, and all of them got a B or higher. So we feel that that was really successful. Other students that credentialing comes with welding, which is a manufacturing training, and then we do some commercial driver's license, which is for the truck driver, where we see great. And so at this time, we're going to invite some of our other partners up, but we've listed the high schools, and these are, when we're focusing on 1 through 12th grade age, we also partnered with JBS last summer with the EDGE program, which is the students that go to what some of us may have known as summer school, and that was the 5th through 8th grade students. And we really worked on one of my side hobby passions is robotics, especially the Lego Mindstorms. I have 2 sons who are about pre-teenage, and so we can geek out on that together. But we took some of that and did it with these students that were 5th through 8th grade. We talked about gear ratios, we talked about torque, we talked about programming. We used iPods and iPads to program the robots, and how that is all going to play into even things like the JBS when they do the warehouse. Most of these things, even all of manufacturing, is not going to necessarily be you standing on the line. It's going to be somebody taking care of the machine that's going to be doing some of that work. And so we did that. We're doing a manufacturing awareness that's really going to focus on those 9th through 12th graders. We have successfully completed some welding here in Marshall and in Worthington with students that are, again, in that 9th through 12th grade. And also the healthcare training. And then we've got other institutions that we partner with, especially the Centers of Ed and the Energy Center Consortium. Yeah, so anyway, if some of them want to come up, and we'll kind of.
Roxanne, just,
Yep.
you can allow some room for questions and answers, and
Yep.
see you guys,
Oh,
make people think with what you're talking about. Because after that.
Bruce will come up.
Let's bring them up first, and then we'll all answer questions that way. Okay.
Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Bruce Peterson. Abraham knows me probably better as the person who wins the door prizes from this event every year. So if you feel bad about not getting them the last couple of years, I'm the cause. I represent the Minnesota Energy Center, which the Minnesota West Community and Technical College is the fiscal agent for. So I do spend a fair amount of time down in this part of the state as well. The Energy Center has primarily got 4 goals that we work on, and all 3 of us representing centers of excellence out of MnSTU, we're looking at statewide, where are the innovations, what are the things that we all need to be paying attention to, and then working with the partner colleges to help bring programming that's needed to wherever it is needed across the state. Because I'm responsible for energy, the biggest challenge that we continue to have is career awareness. Most people in our world know as much about electricity as when I plug into the wall or I flip a switch, something happens, okay? They don't think about where does that power come from and how it gets to us. So career awareness is huge, and when we look at the energy industry in Minnesota, just to give you a little bit of a number factor, if you think about every technician that works for the energy industry, whether they're working in substations, line workers, running a power station, whatever it might be, 40% of that existing technician workforce is or will retire within the next 4 years. 40%. I'm going to tell you that that's probably not, it's a little higher than manufacturing, but not a lot. Because there's a lot of people that are looking like me, what's known as the gray tsunami, that's coming at us, and retirements are going to be a huge issue. And we've got to do a better job of educating these kids about what opportunities are, but also getting to mom and dad and helping them understand that, as an example, if you go through the Powerline training program and Xcel Energy hires you after 1 year of training, you're going to start at $54,000 salary. This is not chump change. So these are great positions, and they're not going to go away because none of you in this room are going to be using less energy significantly in the near future. We keep using more. So it's going to change. Okay, so when I talked about that 40% number, and by the way, if you extend it out to 7 years, it's 52% for the state of Minnesota. So over half in 7 years. And this does not include the workforce that's going to be needed for all the new and emerging technologies such as the growth in solar, more wind, and even if we don't put up more wind towers, which we will, but the maintenance of the existing wind fleet is going to increase because it's continuing to age. So we need more technicians in that area as well. So what are we doing in the Energy Center? Number one, if you, on your next break, take a look outside, we have put together an energy science trailer. And the trailer is planned to start moving around from school to school next year. So any high school that would like to use it in our state needs to contact us. We'll bring that to them. We'll train their teachers so they can do a science week focused on energy. It's equipped with, actually it's got a complete solar collector system like you could put on a cabin out in the woods, as long as the woods weren't so dense that they couldn't see the collectors. But it's got a complete solar system on it. It's got science kits inside that cover hydropower, they cover solar, they cover wind, and we're working on one other thing to get turbine technology in there as well. Second thing we do, and if you come around, by the way, right on the other side of this wall, we have display space for all three of our centers, so stop in and take a look at some of the things that we have to share. One of them for the energy group is the E3 workshops, or energy education for educators. We'll be doing 8 workshops around the state this summer. They're designed for science, agriculture, math, physics instructors from high schools. And what we do is we bring them in for 2 days at 8 different sites. We will teach them about all sorts of different topic areas from energy. And then we give them curriculum, we give them materials, we give them kits so they can go back and teach this in their high school classes. Another one that we are participating in this year is called Camp Explore. This one is for high school kids, and they will be getting education opportunities, and this is at Winona, right? At Winona State University in July. So they're looking for kids to sign up for that right now. So if you know of high school kids that might be interested in exploring a lot of different education opportunities, that's a great week for them. We also do Energy Careers Week in October. And actually we end up doing Energy Careers Month for us because we've got activities. Last year we had 22 different activities where we were participating in around the state through the month of October. Largely working with our utility partners and so on when they do open houses and the like, and getting kids to come in and see the opportunities that exist there. Another big project that we're working on right now is called the Minnesota Legacy Project. And in that one we are working with kids. We're starting this off in Minneapolis and St. Paul, working with kids from socioeconomic backgrounds that are very depressed, a lot of minority populations, to help educate them and prepare them while they're still in high school to make good decisions about college, get them ready for college, get their financial aid taken care of, so they all, by the time they complete that 1 year of the program, they will be ready and have their resources in place to pay for that year of college coming up. And the last one I want to talk about, and this, by the way, is 6.5 hours old. But this morning I was in St. Paul for the Public Utilities Commission hearing, and MnSCU has now been approved for a $5.5 million grant to do research and development on renewable electric energy. So we'll be rolling that out over the next probably 2 months, and that will amount to subgrants going out to up to 14 of the MnSCU institutions to work on projects that look at anything related to renewable electric energy. So that's brand new, that just happened this morning.
Congratulations, Bruce. That's awesome. I had the opportunity to work with Bruce for a number of years, and I know it took an awful lot of effort to get to the results here this morning, so that's fantastic. My name is Brad Slusher, and I serve as the director of the Southern Minnesota Center of Agriculture. I've had the privilege of working widely across southern Minnesota, and I've been at it for 4 years, specifically directing the work of the center, and about 30-some years as an agricultural educator, post-secondary and at the high school level, and have supported the Minnesota West and South Central College and Riverland and Ridgewater programs related to anything in the ag industry. And we're going to do kind of a team approach here. Keith and I support agriculture throughout the state of Minnesota, and I'll just identify specifically when we began our efforts 4 years ago, the real focus has been on providing support for workforce needs and linking the industry resources with the academic resources that we have. And I guess I should probably clarify, okay? Oftentimes we hear MnSCU. How many of you know what MnSCU is? Okay, not everybody, but the Minnesota State College and University System is a broad network where you can't drive more than probably 45 minutes from anywhere in the state of Minnesota and have education available for you. What we focus on is providing support for those institutions 45 minutes or less from each other, specifically in agriculture. And I would share this with you 4 years ago when we started on this effort. Because we're out in rural Minnesota, where quality of life can be very ideal, and the economic engine that turns in the rural reaches, it's extremely important. So I consider it a real privilege to assist in this area. We support secondary agricultural education, so here in Worthington, Minnesota, or in Fulda, or down in Pipestone, there are high school ag education programs. How many of you are familiar with the FFA chapters, leadership development, career success, personal growth? Okay, we support those kind of efforts in a variety of ways. We also support post-secondary agriculture, and as Abby and Roxanne and Dawn talked about needs specifically in the industry, that's probably where the real opportunity presents itself. But I will share with you, as Bruce identified, this distinguished look that he carries around and that I'm growing into, that continues to increase more and more, and we see a tremendous need in the agriculture industry. Whether it's in, probably not so much in, well, no, I'm going to say it is in production agriculture, but in all of the pathways of agriculture, whether it be in food systems, agribusiness systems, animal systems, plant systems, biotechnology in agriculture, the environment and natural resources systems, as well as power structure technical type systems. So all aspects of agriculture, there's a real tremendous need for future workforce and future brain power and future innovation and entrepreneurship. So we're really focused on that area. Both Keith and I are delighted to share with you, and we have resources available on the other side of the wall where We're highlighting the annual report. We have a database available for agriculture in our state, and it's a farm business management annual report. It includes 2,198 farms in the state of Minnesota, where we've done a whole farm analysis and enterprise analysis as well, and we'll share more about those resources. It became available last Friday, and real fresh. I will probably not surprise you by identifying that we've got, fortunately, tremendous production ability. In 2015, we were really blessed with probably some of the most desirable record yields, and that probably helped our economic situation in agriculture. So in terms of our future investment and so on, if you are on the farm, it's more challenging to meet cash flow needs, to handle and manage working capital and related, but fortunately we've got tremendous production capacity. I'm going to pause at this point, turn it over to Keith, and then we're going to open up for questions from him.
Good afternoon. My name is Keith Olander. I direct Ag-Centric, so therefore it would be the northern center a little bit. So for Brad's sake, that would be up north, I think is the name, right? Sure. So we had a meeting where Moorhead State was with us, so that's almost Fargo. So anyway, appreciate working with Brad and Bruce certainly, but just some pieces there in terms of numbers. Brad alluded to FFA and those organizations, and that encompasses about 200 of the districts in the state. There's about 350 total. But out of those 200 districts, there's about 21,000 students that are in agricultural education. Out of that 20,000, about half of them are concentrators. In other words, they take courses on a regular basis in Ag Ed, so that we identify them as having significant interest. So that's in 912. So if you kind of do some math, you say, well, if there's 10,000 students that are concentrators, about 2,500 a year graduate. We know through the University of Minnesota and through MnSCU, we're running about 1,000 a year in graduating out of the 2,500. If you go to a site like agcareers.com and you start looking at statistically what happened last year in agriculture, we needed about 4,000 were the openings. And so Brad and I continue, as he laid out the different topic areas that we work in, that's one of huge significance to us, and I know as industry partners is of significance to you as well. And we know that that's real serious, but on the other side of that, it has come to my knowledge as I've been in the last 24 months working in this capacity, is you talk with general public and we talk about agriculture, the first thing that comes out is farming. And it usually stops there. And we think of non-traditional students because we know in rural Minnesota we're not going to be able to pull all of them, right? So we start working with schools in Minneapolis like Edison or some of St. Paul Public Schools. And you need to get beyond that to understand that it is the food sciences and the natural resource sciences, right? And how animal and plant systems are kind of cool things. And to some of those kids, it's almost sexy because they look at us from something that was so far from what their normal day-to-day life is. And so really, how do we build into that in terms of getting that interest in that and then eventually growing that into a degree and eventually, hopefully, a career with all of us in the room. So it kind of gives you some background in terms of some of the numbers. I want to back up to one conversation this morning we had about the career opportunities and some of the scholarship stuff that's going on. I'll just call it louder. But we have in the state of Minnesota, there are some grants now that are coming available where we would actually have money available for a 2-year degree in high demand areas. It is a pilot program going forward this next year. So we are beginning to replicate that in Minnesota State College University. If you want to Google it through the Office of Higher Education, and you'll see it right up top there. It'll pop up in terms of, they call it free education, but that model is starting to come forward. The other thing that I thought was really intriguing here, Dan just pointed out in terms of how we integrate the data, right? And understand that. In farm business management, we had a little over 2,000 students or farms participating in data. What we did this year, though, is we took it additionally in terms of the individual sorts. And you can do this on MyFinBin, you can Google that as well. But the books are back there in the tables if you want the hard copy. But we started to look at variable rating in seed and fertilizer. And then, of course, the olive steer is kind of open, but it's one of those things. So we did different sorts in terms of the economics behind that. And I completely agree with Dan is that we need to get to a late place where we take the financial data and also add in all of the resources that we have for soil sensing, plant sensing, and beyond that. On the livestock side, robotics in agriculture in terms of robotics and dairy getting bigger and bigger, and those sorts are also available.
And that brings a little bit more in terms of the profitability. I'll be honest with you, if you look at the robotics on the dairy side, it's not real great right now. But we know that dairy in general had a tough year economically as well. And so the robots, at least in our system, I think across what we said, really much the nation, those systems are relatively new. And so it takes a little bit of time in terms of overhead costs for that. The other thing that I would point out is that we've had the opportunity now with the Institute system to pull together. We've had 16 colleges working, and we're growing that across the system to grow agricultural opportunities within the system. But we're partnering with the Minnesota Department of Agriculture, specifically Jim Borboom, who's the Deputy Commissioner, and Dave Ferry, who's the Commissioner. I think many of you know them. But we've started to form a partnership as to how do we do a better job of integrating across the metro and rural Minnesota and really driving that workforce forward. So we've been, our chancellor is very much engaged at the system level, and we'll have a chance to have all of us together here in about 10 days to move that process. And so that's another area that Brad and I continue to work on. Above and beyond that, anytime I have a chance to talk, and this week with the Farm Business Management data coming out, it's just been consistent with interviews and in front of audiences. But I would ask that we all do a really good job of telling our story. We are really good at our industry in doing production and making things happen. But our consumer does not know the complete story. And that poses a challenge for all of us as we move forward. And I work specifically with farmers, and we're doing that. When you're having the conversations at the table, be intentional about the good things we do. I just had the opportunity yesterday to be interviewed by the Minnesota Daily, which is the University of Minnesota paper, and I'm an alum out of there. So I read that paper one time. And through that whole process, one of the questions that was posed to me, you know, we're talking about the tough economics, and the reporter actually said, what can consumers do to help? And it took me about 15 seconds to come back with something, because that question never been posed to me in that way. How can we help the farmer? Of course, I went on to share how we all want to get to the concept of local food and know our source of food, right? And have what we call food system integrity, so that there's a trustworthiness that exists again between producer and consumer. And so I encourage students to be active in reaching out to who is producing that food and how to do that. And I know through the Centers of Excellence, specifically in ag, that is something we do in all of our messaging, whether I'm in Minneapolis or outstate or anywhere like that, in messaging to kind of how do we build that connection and do that as a team. And that's not something that Brad and I can just do, but always we're bringing students to to produce your product and do your job well. But tell your story, because we know as producers in the state, they're some of the best conservationists we have in the nation. And I think the statistics were great that we were looking at earlier about how we have been able to mitigate use of water and chemicals. The problem is our general public doesn't always know that. We're more efficient today in agriculture than we have ever been, producing the safest food supply for the cheapest amount of dollars in the world. And that message always has to be continually carried forward. And so that's just some of the messaging that we try to do that. So with that, I guess we should be open to questions.
Yeah. While you're thinking of that question, Bruce identified the Minnesota Energy Center. Keith and I support the efforts on agriculture. We also have a information technology center. There are two manufacturing centers and a health center. So if you're interested in more details, we've got combined literature available for that.
Also, just so you are aware, Judy is sitting here in the green, and Rose, I guess both in green. Anyway, they're also here representing the centers, so there are 5 of us that can handle questions as they pop up through the evening and through tomorrow as well. So, open for any questions of any of us up here. Yes?
Well, a couple of things. Have you heard of FIRST Robotics?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Competition.
Yeah. Boy, get the kids involved in that because anyway, that's a great competition for them to get into robotics. And also, you guys are doing great work in all aspects that I see. The only one that I didn't hear you talk about was the bench technician at like some of the R&D companies here in Worthington that I see, where you've got technicians working along PhD scientists on R&D projects. Are you doing training of people in that bench work that's necessary for that industry?
Our provost for Minnesota West is here. He's sitting back there, Dr. Jeff Williamson.
Thank you, to get to be a part of the program. I always try to be. Actually, we have, and we've worked for 15 years. It was kind of ironic as Johnson County was talking about their story. We went through that same story with a tremendous amount of support with Newport Laboratories and Prairie Holdings. We went through the same kind of process. But unfortunately, to the demise, as like one of the, we just didn't have the business model that would work. We didn't have enough students in the program. So I'm happy Johnson County's been able to do that. But it's a great job opportunity, and we still have the curriculum available to us, and if the demand was there, we certainly would do it again.
Okay, I hope that those who are in that industry, if they do have a demand, rather than bringing people in from outside the country or whatever, get in touch with these folks and let them know.
Yep. A common theme that run through all your speakers are in the career awareness. Most all of it has been focused on high school students. So a lot of research has shown that career interest and interest and passion develops in the middle school. If it is not fostered from the time of middle school on, they run into a lot of discipline problems, and others, those that have their interest fostered, go on to be creative and successful individuals. What can the communities do to foster this interest in middle school students so that this career awareness starts where it needs to start rather than at high school where it's probably a little too late?
I can address that from the energy perspective, and that is that by this fall, we will have curriculum available to be used in all the way down into the grade schools. So we currently have it for grades 9 through 12 available, and it's been developed for us by the Center for Energy Workforce Development out in BC that we are part of. But it will also be available with new units that are coming out this summer for just what you're asking about, middle school and all the way down into grade school.
In the agricultural arena, there is, through the Minnesota Department of Agriculture in the classroom, and actually that probably starts, I think they got some pre-K resources and some elementary school grades 1 through 6. That has been widely available for, I'm gonna say, 25 plus years. Specifically through our Centers of Excellence in Agriculture, we are targeting middle school. Personally took a day in the month of March and went out and spent 5-6 hours with 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students, and specifically spent time visiting with the counselors in that particular school. That's what I would challenge each one of you to consider doing. As Keith indicated, we need to tell our story. So you live in your community, go and visit with the people who probably went through a non-technical track. And what I'm saying by that is generally for those that are guidance counselors, they probably pursued a 4-year degree, probably have a master's degree, did not get involved with technical agriculture. Where's Luann? She was talking about the hand type, those opportunities. That's really important. And that's where we're seeing a tremendous need. Abby, tell me if I'm wrong. The JDS, huge need for someone that is comfortable taking on equipment and troubleshooting, and that's not what you're learning theoretically.
Hands-on.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've done through JBS is have the opportunity to speak at careers classes in the high school, and that's the freshman class right away in the fall. I've spoken at all of the ALC classes in their ESL programs, done summer outreach programs with them to tell them about JBS, because how many people are not from Worthington that are in here? Okay. Being a slaughterhouse or having that title has kind of that negative cultural effect and that negative community effect. But when you think of Worthington as a population of 11 to 13,000 people and 2,200 employees being in our facility, that's a huge impact. But a lot of people don't know what's happening there or what's going on. So talking to the students very young, everybody has a family member that's working for us or working with us, but they don't know what they're doing. And they don't realize that there's more opportunities than being a line worker. We need line workers, it's very important, but we also need accountants, nurses, we need people in HR, in management, supervisors. So we kind of plant that seed about the opportunities that are still within our community after going on to graduation and after coming back. And that's one of the partnerships with Minnesota West and doing that ed program in the summer was targeted to that 5th to 8th grade group and showing them how they're all immersed in technology. I have 18-month-old twins that can screw up an iPhone or an iPad in 2 seconds. Even with like your passcode lock, the next thing you know, it has some foreign language and you're locked out for 5 minutes. So they're embedded and ingrained in technology that we just need to enhance their ability to see what their opportunities are moving forward.
At JBS, the contract with Minnesota West, is that a 2-year program or is that continuous forever and ever? We've got to fill up
Like
with
what we're doing as far as offering scholarships, we've set apart a set lump sum amount saying we will get this program started and we want to kind of have it go for 5 years. Like we had a 5-year plan based on what our demands were going to be for retirement and turnover. That doesn't mean that it's not going to extend through that. In fact, we've been so successful with this program at our Worthington facility that we're talking to the maintenance departments in our other port facilities. We've got 2 in Iowa, 1 in Louisville, Kentucky, and 1 in Illinois, and said, would you guys be interested in sending your potential candidates here, provide a scholarship, send them to Worthington so we can put them through the schooling here and make sure that our program keeps going and keeps growing, because there is such a need, and we want to try and pull and, have Worthington and Minnesota West be the flagship for JBS and have all of their mechanics come through here. So that's kind of in the works, or a basic communication saying we're in our 2nd year, this is how successful we are. Why don't you guys want to try and do something? Instead of reinventing the wheel in all these other communities, why not bring them here and then send them back out as part of our investment?
Question for Abigail. As you think about the broader community-wide issues, as we're out and about, we hear a lot about housing and childcare and broader things that affect a company's ability to attract people. Is there anything you'd be comfortable sharing about the broader challenges you have here in Worthington and how that compares to other places? Because we understand housing availability is a significant issue down here. Obviously, childcare and a number of other things, but we've heard so much good stuff today about training and opportunities to grow people, but what about getting the people themselves?
Getting the people, and people will come if you have the right opportunity. The trick is getting them to stay. So we can get somebody here, we can give them that opportunity to have them come here. JBS has created a fund in the Southwest Minnesota Housing Partnership, kind of to create an incentive for builders. We have land, right? We have a lot of places that, with the appropriate purchases, we can kind of grow with. So JBS has put some money aside to say, here, we'll start a kitty to create a fund to hopefully entice an investor to come in and say, we want to build, we want to create affordable housing. So it would be to be sort of like like an interest-free loan of sorts that other businesses and other people in our community can kind of add to it. Housing is a tough thing. We have people that come from Sioux Falls, and so they're coming back and forth every day. We're a 2-shift facility running almost 23 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week. So that's a lot of traveling back and forth. In the winter, it's not fun. So how can we make it more easy to keep people here? And the biggest thing is housing. Childcare goes hand in hand. I experience that daily. It's tough, and unless we can find some way to have overnight childcare for your second shift work, I don't know what the solution is. I think there's a lot of people that can be a part of it and come up with ideas, but we need to find a way, one, to have better housing or more housing opportunities to get people here so that they'll stay here, and then work on the other parts of it. keep with that childcare and keeping it a good environment.
So of all the things you said today as a representative of a major industry in this part of the region, what's the one thing that keeps you or your boss up at night about the flow of talent in and out? What's the top thing that you have said or haven't said today?
I don't know, kind of anything, I guess, I don't know, how do we keep people here? How do we become the best? What are we doing, or what can we do to be the best company to work for? Because we don't want our people to leave. We're investing a lot of time and money and energy in training them and wanting them to stay. You know, I want to know how we can be the best. What can we do to be better? How can we get people here? How can we keep them here? Especially with the changes in the industry. EMB closed down in Wyndham. Now it's going to be opening up at the Fort Roxanne facility. There's a facility in Sioux City that's going to be opening in the next year. There's talk about something in Mason City, Iowa opening. So that's a huge pressure for JBS being central in how do we keep people here and let them understand that what we're offering is better than moving to a startup company, and that we have the backbone and structure to sustain what's happening in the next 5 to 10 years.
Time for one more question, if anyone has one. If not, please help me thank this fantastic panel.